So I ordered these a while ago. These little PCBs here from Makho. They're basically just like you just make a rechargeable battery for your Game Boy Advance out of it. I ordered them a while ago and didn't really get around to doing anything with them, but I figured since I've just done this for a friend, I may as well just go ahead and, try and make something out of this. Oh, by the way, if you think the audio sounds a little bit different, I normally use NVIDIA RTX Voice for my microphone because it eliminates most of the noise. But I've noticed in my last couple of videos, sometimes when I'm saying something, like the end of a sentence will get cut off slightly, and it may be a little bit hard to understand what I'm saying sometimes if my accent wasn't hard enough to understand. But I'm just trying, just the microphone on its own, no filtering or anything like that. So if you hear any noise in the background, that's why. But hopefully my voice will be a little bit better to understand. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna give this a try. I mean, I haven't tried these yet, so I don't know how well they'll work. But I've gone ahead and trimmed this little whatever it is that sticks up here inside the battery compartment, little nub thing. I've went ahead and just trimmed that off, because when you put this in, well, which way does it go? That way. When you put this in like that, it sticks through the hole there. And when you've got the battery installed, whichever way I'm going to install it, when you've got the battery installed, it would stick up and it would push the battery up, and yeah, that's not going to work basically. So I've cut that off, and I've also cut this little, if you can see it, this little piece of plastic that was like sticking out there. I've gone ahead and cut that off as well because that was obscuring the battery as well. So that's the only modifications I've done to the battery compartment. Well, obviously I've also removed this metal terminal here for the battery. Would normally be that, which would normally be, what position would this be in? It would usually be like that. So I've went ahead and removed that as well because you're not going to need that really once you've got a rechargeable battery installed. So all the mod consists of is the PCB, which I need to get out of here now. The PCB, this little, I'm sure you've seen these before, TP4056 modules. I get the ones with the USB-C port because why would you not use USB-C these days? I don't know. And these, if you've watched Makho's video where he talks about this, it's quite an old video. He tells you that these are not the ideal battery contacts to use for this mod, because this spring mounted thingy, whatever you want to call it, terminal, it doesn't really contact this terminal in here very well. You've kind of got to shorten it down and stuff because it sticks up too far. The ones that you should really get, which I don't have a link to, you can get them on sites like DigiKey and things like that, but anyone that's ordered from DigiKey before knows that you've got to place a minimum order of like whatever it is, $40 or something, before you get free delivery. Otherwise, shipping from places like DigiKey costs like, I don't know what it is, $15, $20 if you're in the US. I know over here in the UK it's like £12 for delivery, and I don't really want to pay £12 for these when I can get these for like 50 pence on AliExpress. I can get like 100 of these for like 50 pence on AliExpress. So yeah, for the sake of keeping the cost down, I mean, if you're going to be spending that much money just for these, you might as well go and buy like the Clean Juice module from Retro 6, or you know, Retro Moderns. They've got their own rechargeable battery pack. You might as well just go buy one of them for a little bit extra and save yourself the hassle. So the whole point of this is to keep the cost down. So I'm going to go with these terminals. So let's see how this is going to work. I haven't actually done one of these yet, so this is just me kind of brainstorming on ways to put this together. I don't know if the PCB has like a silk screen here that shows where this is supposed to be mounted, like that. But I get the feeling that once that's on like that, it's going to stick out too far here and you'll not be able to get the battery door on properly. So the idea I've come up with is to put this in like this. Obviously the terminals and stuff will be soldered onto here, but the basic way I've got this planned in my head is this is just a 1000 milliamp hour battery. This is just what I had spare lying around. This will be fine. It won't quite be, you know, as good as a 1500 milliamp battery, which you can fit in here, but 1000 milliamps will still get you, you know, probably a good 4 or 5 hours of playtime, which is good enough, in my opinion anyways. But yeah, I'm just, you know, that'll go in like that. I'll press that down. So that'll fit in like that. Obviously these will be soldered in. And then this, the idea I had was to cut off these two, well, I'm going to do that now actually. I'm going to cut these two tabs off the end of here. It's quite tough. Cut these tabs off the end of here, and then I'm just going to place it in the middle. I'm just going to place it in the middle here. I can probably take a little bit more off there actually. I don't even know what them tabs are for, to be honest. Bits of dust. Right, that'll do. So yeah, my idea is to mount this here in the middle, like that. And then hopefully the battery door will fit on. That's the idea. Maybe I can give that a try hopefully without shorting this battery out. I don't think that's going to work, is it? I'm probably going to short the battery doing this, but whatever, we'll see. There we go, got that in. So that'll go there like that. I'll find a way to mount that. Probably double-sided tape or something. And then hopefully the battery door will go on like that. It doesn't bulge or anything, it looks fine. Oh, no, there we go. Now I've got it on. So, yeah, I'm going to go for something like that. I mean, I think it'll work. But you never know. We'll see. We'll see once it's stuck down. Oh, I'm going to double check that. It does stick up a little bit that I can see. But there isn't really much I can do, to be honest. I think that's pretty much the only way I can mount it. Yeah. I mean, the other thing I could do, which I'm not going to do, but, you know, if you've got the time and you can be bothered, you could take the USB port off of this board, and then when the USB port's taken off, you could actually shorten this board. You could cut the board here, like along here, all this bit of board here could be cut off to make this module smaller, and you can use the USB port and like glue it into the back of the battery door, cut a little hole there and glue it there. If you wanted to do that, you could, that would work, but I don't feel like doing that because that's a lot of effort, and this video would probably go on for well over an hour if that was the case. Probably well over 2 hours, because I'd have to get the Dremel out and everything else. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with the original plan, which is to just stick it on top of there. Hopefully that'll work fine. Right, we'll put that to one side for now. Right, so as you may or may not know, this mod requires, I believe this is a 1N4148 diode, which obviously is used to drop the voltage from, 3.7, which is what these are, down to like 3.1, 3.2 volts, which is what the Game Boy Advance runs on. So now, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head which way around the diode goes. I think it's that way, like that. Give me a second, I can double check. Yes, it is. That is the correct orientation for this diode. I think first things first, I'll just go ahead and solder this in. Turn my soldering iron on actually. So I'll go ahead and solder that in. There is pads on this here if you want to use a surface mount diode, which I do not have currently, so I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to push this in as far as I can, like so. Just bend the legs out. Attach that, turn it around a bit. Like so. And that's perfectly fine. And you can just go ahead and cut them legs off. Probably what would be a good idea is to cut these down as flush as possible. Having said that, I should probably add a little bit more solder if I'm going to do that, just so the solder flows through to the other side. That should be enough. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I really need a new pair of these. These are very, very blunt now. Cut that down as flush as you can, because remember this has got to sit flat inside the battery compartment. Right, I'm just going to cut that off first, because I usually save the legs off of these things to use for other things that come in very handy. So cut that as flush as possible. Should look like that. It's about as flush as you'll get that. Right, so just make sure they're not shorting out. Next is I'm going to attach the battery. Now I'm thinking, what do I want to use to attach this? Because the way this is going to go, it's going to go on like that, and then that's going to go on top. So these 4 contacts here, these 4 solder contacts, have to connect to these here. So with this on top of here, I need a way to connect these to these. So I don't know if I should use wire or if I should just, you know, use these, what I've just had out, component legs. You know, I feel if I use component legs, it'll give it a bit more rigidity when it's on like that. But then if I did it like that, I wouldn't be able to have it centered. It would have to be off center like that instead of in the middle there, which I don't really want. I would like it to be centered. I'll use some wire. Let me see what wire I've got over here. This'll do. Right, so I've got some red wire here. Just cut a piece of that off. And some black wire. That should be all I need for that. Might be wire strippers. Get rid of that. Now, before I attach the battery, I'm going to attach the terminals first. So, if this goes in like this, like that, I'm going to want this one on the bottom and this one on the top. Okay. So, these are going to need to be mounted like this. So what I'll do, I think, is I'll tin, they're quite large pads, and then I'll turn my iron up a bit. At the 350. Put a nice layer of solder on there like that. Tin up the bottom of this. I'm going to need to use these, otherwise I'm going to burn my fingers. So, I need to use something to prop this up, stand it on there. This is probably the most awkward part of this mod, is attaching these things. Yeah, I've just realised the problem here. If you notice, these pads have got little vias in them, little holes. So when I put solder on, the solder is going to flow through to the other side, and it's just going to all bubble up here. So what I want to do is put some Kapton tape over there. I do have Kapton tape somewhere. There we go. Put some Kapton tape over it, and that should hopefully stop the solder from flowing through to the other side. Let's cut that off. So with that stuck on there, I should be able to flow the solder through onto here now. going to be hard to put solder on when I've got this propped up on top of it. There you go, nice bubble on top of there now. That is extremely hot. I think the easiest way to do this is probably going to be to put some solder onto this terminal, tin it up like that, and then lay it flat like that. It's not exactly straight like. I would prefer it if it was straight. And the other problem I have now is if I mount this too far this way, then when it bends over, it's going to bend over too far, and I don't want that. So that's the problem I've got here. I've also got the problem with this Kaplan tape getting in the way. Fold that back like that. There we go, that's better. Solder takes a while to dry. That looks better. Yep, that looks... Well, I mean, it could be better, but if I apply any more solder, it's going to be hard to get it back on again. I suppose I probably should. If I apply it in bits like that, it should stay on, hopefully. The problem I've got now, though, is now this isn't flat. I never even thought of that. It's fairly flat, but not quite. See, I've moved it now. There we go. I could probably make it flat. This one should be a little bit easier to apply. Just tin this up. Come on. There we go. Right. I'm hoping that those I'm hoping that I can bend those into position properly. Fingers crossed. Right, so these need to be bent upwards like that. That's still hot. So you should end up with something that looks like that. Of course, this is still too long, so I'm going to need to cut this down a bit. Probably cut it to about there, I think. Incredibly hard to cut these because it's quite thick. Doesn't help that these things are crap. See if I've got another pair of these somewhere. Excuse me. I do, I have another 2 pairs of these. Let's try these ones. I don't think these are any better though. No, these aren't really any better. Oh, there we go. So that's shortened now. So with that like that, that should slide into there. Now it's going to need a bit of, this is going to need to be coaxed in a little bit. But for the most part, this should just slide in now. Kind of like that, just a little further down. Yeah, so that'll go in something like that when it's done. Came out easier than I thought. Okay, so now I can't believe I'm half an hour into this video and all I've done is installed a diode and 2 battery terminals. I'll tell you what I can do, I can try and trim this terminal down slightly if possible. I think that's about as most as I'm going to get off that. It's not quite flat, but hopefully it's okay. Right. Now I need to figure a way to attach the battery to here. What do I want to use? Double-sided tape? Oh, I know what I can use. It's just... Can I fold that out a little bit? be alright. So I'm going to mount it like that. See these backs of this battery, it's folded out a little bit like that so it's not in the way. There we go. Just so I can get it flush against those. So if I was to install that like that, I think that should probably be alright. Now I'm going to have to cut these wires short so that I can attach them to here. But first I need, I know what I'm going to use. I have here some, it's got some hair on it, like some cat hair, but it's basically this, you use it for attaching, it's meant to be used for attaching mobile phone screens, like replacement mobile phone screens, like this double-sided gasket adhesive type stuff. I think this will work well to attach the battery. Okay, so let's see, the battery's going to be like that. Before I attach the battery though, I'm probably going to want to get these wired up, which means wire strippers. I'm going to need 2 of these. God, these snips are so bad. Strip these wires. Now, I'm going to go ahead and attach these. So out. So these 2 are plus, these 2 are minus. Okay. And while I'm waiting for my soldering iron to heat back up, I can bring it in closer a little bit. Right, attach that like so. Like so. Like so. Right, now that I've got them attached, I'll go ahead and attach the battery now. Just move them out of the way. You see, so now that that's like that, the battery's kind of pushed down a little bit. I forgot I'm zoomed in, hang on. There we go. Yeah, the battery's kind of like pushed down now because of these wires in the way. Which is why I was reluctant to use these wires at first. Because I had a feeling that was going to happen. But whatever, we'll see if we can make it work. I might end up having to just mount the battery like that, off center a little bit. Yeah, probably gonna have to go with that. That's probably not a bad thing actually, because this battery's so thin, this hole probably takes away a lot of the space that I would have to stick it. But if I'm mounting it slightly further down, then I've got all of this space here to stick to. What I'll do first though is I'll give it a bit of a wipe. No point sticking it on if it's full of finger grease. Okay. Now I need to attach the battery. So if that goes like that. Yeah, there's still room for the battery there. Okay, so I need to work out how much wire I need to attach the battery. So for plus I'm going to need about that much. And for minus I'm going to need about that much. Stripping these is going to be difficult, especially with these wire strippers. And these are not exactly ideal. That worked, thankfully. This one is going to be extremely difficult to strip, this black wire. Let's see what I can do. No, I didn't think that would be that easy. Yeah, I'm going to have to find another way to strip that, I think. Let's see. I wonder if I can just use my fingernails. Kind of. There's a bit sticking out there. I think when I heat that up, it'll probably make the shielding, this bit, it'll make it melt back a little bit. The name slips me mind. You'll be able to see what I mean though. So when I heat that up, you see how it strips back? That's what I was hoping for. And then this will just go on like this. So that'll go there and that'll go next to it. Battery plus and battery minus. Like that. I'll do one at a time because it's a little bit fiddly. There's one. And there's two. So once the battery's attached, you can go ahead and snip off the excess. Careful not to bridge these. That's a good point, actually. I haven't even checked to make sure this battery works yet. I should probably do that. Let's have a look. See what voltages we get on this battery, eh? .9. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Okay, so I need to stick this down now. I'm going to need, how much of this am I going to need? I'll just put 2 strips along there. There we go. I should be able to stick this down now. Ah, there we go. One. Come on. 2. There we go. Now, I want to stick this about where? Maybe like here? Yeah, about there. That's about right. Press that down nice and hard. See what I mean about the hole there? Kind of like it's a bit of a, you know, wasted space to stick this down, but I feel like that should be fine. This is pretty strong adhesive, so that's not going to come off anytime soon. Right, now now is the tough part, because now I need to work out where this is going to go. And it's tough because this is going to stick up slightly further than I planned because of these. So it's not going to sit as flush as I had hoped. I'll just move them out of the way for now. Well, that's not going to go in like that. It's going to have to go in like that, isn't it? Where's me? There they are. So that's going to go in like that. That's in there really good, actually. Now that I've got that wired up, actually, it should just work, because there is enough voltage in it. Oh no, actually it won't work, because the circuit runs through this, doesn't it? Yes. So it won't work until that's actually fixed on. But that looks pretty good so far. You see how it sticks up a little bit there? And my original plan is probably not going to work. If anything, I'm going to have to mount this over here. But even then, I feel like it still sticks up a little bit too much. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do here. That's as far down as that's going to go. And there's no question there. I think my only option is to just mount this as far over here as possible. And hope for the best. Which I don't think is going to work. But all we can do is try. Right, so that should reach there, I hope. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna need to tin these wires slightly. Where's my solder? There it is. Yeah, that's not going to work. Can I get my wire strippers in here? That is a good question. It doesn't look like it. No, okay. I'll have to find another way to strip them. This is not the most ideal way to strip a wire, but unfortunately it's the only option I've got right now. Right, hopefully that's enough. Yeah, that's fine. Be extremely careful not to cut my fingers here, because it would be very easy. There we go. One more. Okay. I'll go ahead and install the TP456 now. Two of these holes are already filled in with solder. I must have used this at another point for something. I'll go ahead and I've got a little bit of solder braid here. Snip this off first. snip that off. Still at 350. I don't know what might help. A little bit of flux, I think, would probably help. There we go. That's better. Right. Now we can go ahead and attach that now. One. Two. Three. One more to go. Get that in there like that. Four. There we go. And that's it. That works. Now I just need to get this fixed in place somewhere where it's actually going to close. So I'm thinking like over this side here, like that. If I can get that fixed down there and the door closes, then that's pretty much it. See if the door closes now. It's probably not going to, but I'm going to try it anyways. Now it feels extremely tight. Yeah, that's not going to fit there. Let's see. Would it fit in the middle? Probably not, but we'll see. No, it's not. It's not connected up properly. No, I don't think this is going to fit. That's what I was saying before about it being pushed up, you know. That's the general idea though. It's just playing around with it to try and make it fit. Just probably trimming the top of those off a little bit. Yep, that'll do. Yeah, I think the easiest way to get this to work is probably going to be to take this off and just mount it on the inside of here. But I mean, for the time being, you can see that this works. I mean, you know, this clearly works. Do I have a USB cable I can use to test this? Let's see. I've got one here. If I plug this in now, it doesn't stretch very far, this. And you can see it charges. So that's it really. I mean, that's all there is to it. I just don't know whether or not I want to play around with it to try and make it fit, or if I'm just going to go ahead and remove the USB port and then just glue it to the inside of here. I might just go with that because I can't see how I'm going to get this to fit without essentially starting from scratch again. Because there's just, with the soldering on the bottom of there and whatnot, there's not enough clearance to get that to stay down, even when it's over in this corner. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and just cut a hole in there, glue it in there, and then just be done with it, and that'll be it done. So yeah, that's it pretty much. It works fine, as you can see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Until next time. So just a quick update before I end the video. I've gone ahead and I have finished the mod. I've went ahead and cut a hole, put the USB-C port there, glued it in place, and that's the mod pretty much finished. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Basically all I did was I cut the hole, I desoldered the USB port, I cut the hole, obviously I used a filed it to the right size, put it in. I used an X-Acto knife to just like scratch up this area here of the battery door, because that gives like a porous, like a rough porous surface for the glue to stick to. It sticks better that way. And I use 2-part epoxy for this because you pretty much want to use epoxy for this. If you use something like super glue or hot glue, it'll come away eventually. It won't be permanent. I mean, it'll work in the short term, but it will eventually, when when you're plugging in your USB-C port in and out, over time, hot glue, things like that, it's gonna come loose. So if you're gonna do this, go with epoxy. Go with a 2-part epoxy, and that'll be pretty much permanent. And then it's literally just a matter of connecting up the positive and the negative pins to the positive and negative on the board, route your wires, and then you're pretty much done. Like that, and just close up, and that's the mod done. So yeah, thank you for watching again, and I'll see you next time.